Welcome to WHRO's Weekly Edition. I'm Jordan Christie.
And I'm Barry Graham.
We highlight the week's news and stories happening all over Hampton Roads. In this week's program, Democrats rode the blue wave to a dominant win in Virginia's off-year elections. We'll have a breakdown of some Hampton Roads delegate races.
It was a historic year for Virginia as Democrat Abigail Spanberger was the first woman elected governor in the Commonwealth. WHRO talked to folks at the polls about the historic moment.
And Old Dominion football won its sixth game of the season against Louisiana-Monroe, making the Monarchs bowl eligible and keeping hopes alive for a Sun Belt title game appearance. It's WHRO's Weekly Edition. Democrat Michael Feggins won a second term to the 97th District seat in the House of Delegates. WHRO's Toby Cox brings the details from Virginia Beach.
We have secured this seat, House District 97. Thank y'all.
Feggins fended off Republican challenger Tim Anderson. His victory helped secure a Democratic majority in the House. The race was considered one of the tightest in the state heading into Election Day. Here's Feggins after winning re-election.
I'm feeling ecstatic right now to have a win. It's always there's always a little apprehension. You know, you do a lot of work. There's a lot of polling, but you never know what's going to happen until election night. And to know that my neighbors, my friends, the individuals in House District 97 voted for me once again shows that what we did in 2023 wasn't a fluke.
He says affordability will be the top priority of his second term. Toby Cox, WHRO News.
Democrat Nadarius Clark has defeated Republican Felicia Storm in the race for House District 84. WHRO's Yi-Ching Wang has more on the district's newest delegate.
The district includes all of Franklin, portions of Isle of Wight County, and Suffolk. After redistricting, it became one of the most competitive in Hampton Roads. Clark, one of the youngest members of the House when first elected, campaigned on boosting school funding, protecting abortion access, and expanding housing options. At an election night event in Suffolk, Clark told supporters he's energized by the results and optimistic about Democratic gains statewide.
The first thing I want to continue to do is fight for teacher pay to the national average. That's something I've been championing for the last 4 years. We're getting close, but we're still not at the national average, so I'm going to keep hammering away until we can pay our teachers what they deserve.
Clark won by a narrow margin in his last race. This time, he largely expanded his lead. Yi-Ching Wang, WHRO News.
Democrat Virgil Gene Thornton unseated Republican incumbent A.C. Cordoza in Hampton and Pocoson's House of Delegates District 86 race.
It was one of 13 delegate seats Democrats flipped in Tuesday's elections.
WHRO's Michelle Hankerson has the details.
Thornton significantly outraised Cordoza with major support from House Democrats. Much of Thornton's campaign focused on his interest in building strong apprenticeship programs and general support of Virginia's youth.
I'm running for delegate to create more opportunities for all our young people, improve our schools, create more job training, and bring down health care costs.
Thornton spent his career as a civilian shipbuilder for the Navy and now works as a leadership coach. Michelle Hankerson, WHRO News.
Democrat Jessica Anderson has defeated Republican incumbent Amanda Batten in their rematch race for House District 71. WHRO's Catherine Hefner has more from Williamsburg.
The 71st District includes Williamsburg and parts of James City and New Kent counties. It became one of Hampton Roads' most competitive after redistricting a few years ago. Anderson previously worked at a local elementary school and made boosting public education a cornerstone of her campaign. At a packed election night event, the Democrat told her supporters the campaign knocked on more than 40,000 doors in the community.
We didn't have to go low. We just had to talk about the issues that matter to people, and we moved people.
Batten, a former state legislative aide, beat Anderson by just 667 votes in 2023. This time, Anderson led by more than 2,400 votes, according to unofficial totals from the state elections department. Catherine Hafner, WHRO News.
Virginia Democrats have secured a 28-seat majority in the House of Delegates, as well as the state executive branch. That's according to election returns as of Wednesday. WHRO's Michelle Hankerson reports what the party is looking forward to now that it has total control.
The Saturday before Election Day, Speaker of the House Don Scott had a vision while at a prayer breakfast in Virginia Beach.
I believe that part of 2 Timothy chapter 1 that says he didn't give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And so when you have a sound mind, you can create a strategy that will get us a 51 seats this time. I don't know, majority leader here, 54, 55, 56, maybe a 60, whatever y'all want to go to.
Virginia voters went to 64, according to election night results. It's the largest Democratic majority in the House of Delegates since 1989. Scott had an explanation for his prediction.
Like, I'm feeling it. I've been knocking doors in almost every community in Virginia, in this Commonwealth of Virginia. And I can tell you that the frustration and pain that is coming out of D.C. that is harming Virginia is real.
Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger appealed to out-of-work federal employees throughout her campaign. She secured 73% of Election Day votes in Fairfax County, where most federal workers in Virginia live. Fellow Democrats Ghazala Hashmi and Jay Jones rounded out the Commonwealth's executive branch on election night. Those wins, plus a House majority, create what's known as a political trifecta. That's when the same party holds majorities in the state Senate and House of Delegates, as well as the governor and lieutenant governor seats, who are directly involved in the lawmaking process. A political trifecta usually means the party in control has an easier time passing legislation. There's plenty Democrats will need to work out among themselves. Lawmakers have 4 state constitutional amendments in the works, one related to reproductive health care access, one on marriage equality, one on voting rights, and a recent one at the center of a special legislative session to change how the state draws voting districts. Spanberger used her victory speech to make clear her stance on one of those.
In Virginia, health care decisions about contraception, fertility treatments, and reproductive care will continue to be made between women and their doctors, not politicians. That's a promise I've made and a promise I intend to keep.
Democratic Party of Virginia Chair Senator Lamont Bagby said before Election Day he hopes the state won't need the redistricting amendment, but he's looking forward to securing other priorities.
If these other states don't follow Trump's direction, we won't need the 4th. And so getting these 3 constitutional amendments done, and then, there's a ton of vetoes that are sitting on the governor's desk, and we need to make sure those pass as easy as that.
New House of Delegates members will be sworn in January 14th, 2026. Spanberger's inauguration is scheduled to follow 3 days later. Michelle Hankerson, WHRO News.
Still ahead on Weekly Edition, the Southeastern Public Service Authority and Hampton Roads agreed on a 20-year deal to change how it handles trash. But first, Virginia Beach voters backed a 10-district local voting system in a referendum about selecting members of the City Council. WHRO's John Doucette reports it applies to school board races as well.
The choice was between the 10-1 system, as it is known, and a modified version of the city's old 7-3-1 system. Longtime community leader Georgia Allen is part of a coalition supporting the 10-1. She says voters want a fair system.
The reason why it is fairer is because it's one person, one vote. So one person, one vote, no matter what district you're in, you all have equal representation.
A federal judge imposed the 10-1 system. It's been used since 2022, but Virginia Beach never got it codified in its charter. The 7-3-1 language stayed on the books and was the subject of a state lawsuit. Now the voters back the 10-1, the city may be closer to ending years of litigation and political sparring. The next local elections in Virginia Beach are a year away. John Doucette, WHRO News.
Republican Attorney General and Virginia Beach native Jason Miyares failed to secure re-election as Democrats swept this year's statewide elections. WHRO's Ryan Murphy was with the campaign Tuesday night.
Miyares outperformed his party's other statewide candidates, but the Democratic wave that swept Virginia was too strong for him to overcome Norfolk Democrat Jay Jones.
As the hallmark of our democracy, I wish Jay Jones the best in this new job. I know given the circumstances of the last 6 weeks, many of my supporters will find that difficult. But the reason I wish Jay the best is because we, the people of Virginia, need it.
Miyares ran on a law and order platform. He highlighted his work on drug addiction, while Jones struck a more progressive tone. The Democrat was bruised by a scandal in October over texts he sent 3 years ago, joking about shooting a Republican lawmaker and his family. That made the race tighter than expected. Ryan Murphy, WHRO News.
This is WHRO's Weekly Edition. Remember, for any stories you've missed, you can visit us on the WHRO smartphone app or all social media platforms. $1.4 million Virginians cast early ballots in this week's elections, according to the Virginia Public Access Project.
But plenty of voters still went to the polls on Election Day.
WHRO's reporters talked to some of them about the historic nature of this year's election. Here's what they told us.
Patrick Abilene. I was taught early on by my parents that women can do jobs just like men, so the gender really shouldn't matter, just as long as they have the qualifications, the knowledge to do it.
Jane Byers. I don't mind male or female as long as they do a good job. I just try to vote with my conscience.
Edna Moore. This country is in a transition. We're going backwards instead of forward. People are suffering. People have lost jobs. Right now, over this past weekend, people don't even know how they're going to feed their children. And I'm blessed. I'm an ex-military person, and I'm 69 years old, so I've been fortunate. But when I watch the news, it makes me want to cry to see everything is going backwards. We need a change. We need people in office who are going to build this country back up. No lies, no fakes, no drama. Just work for the people and give the people what they need. I want Abigail Spanberger to win. It'll be the first woman governor, and that's a good thing to see. And I hope she's a Democrat.
Imani Hines, given the state of just America in general, there's a lot of things that are happening, and I feel like if we could at least help out when it comes to the certain states to try and improve what's going on, then I feel like that could definitely help out with the country as a whole.
John Elliker. I'm pretty excited about it, frankly. Well, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to fight off the Trump attack on democracy, frankly, and that the best way to do that, I think, is electing Democrats and showing the country that that's what we're thinking in Virginia.
Portia Wright. Voting is a priority for me no matter what the election is, because if you don't vote locally, you can't impact what's going on federal. And we're in a state of flux as far as I'm concerned with the government right now. So it's more important than ever to vote. The most important, of course, was the governorship. And I vote blue no matter who. This woman has dedicated herself to public service without bias, and that's what's important to me. I don't care what color you are, what your religion is how you represent your constituency. And in order to be an effective leader, you have to represent everybody. We are not a dynasty, we're a democracy.
Hi, my name is Connor Robinson. I don't think I'm informed enough about the issues of the day to be able to make a good decision, but I highly support all the other people around here voting. It seems to me like there's a lot of very complicated stuff, and I don't think I fundamentally understand what government is or how we should interact with it. Back in the day, we used to have two major ideas. In the Enlightenment, we had a negative view of government, where it was like a boundary that you're not allowed to cross, and then we had a more Aristotelian positive form of government that enforced virtue. It seems like there's a crossing over of that, and I'm not quite sure where we stand in relation to that or what I think is the right thing for our system. But I strongly support the people voting and deciding on my behalf, and I trust them more than myself.
Carolyn Williams. Male or female, you have to, there's a certain standard that each party goes by, and I don't think it'll change a whole lot. It'll just be some lipstick instead of chapstick, you know.
Adria, Brian Casey. I feel like a new perspective, in some facet. I don't know, probably just the political climate change, either way, there's going to be a woman in charge.
Voters' voices were heard Tuesday in Virginia's off-year elections. I stopped by ODU political science professor Joshua Zingler's office to understand the political landscape after the elections.
Let's take a look at the governor's race. Spanberger led in almost every single poll from the very beginning, yet she was not the known commodity, representative from the suburbs outside of Richmond, versus Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, who, even though Lieutenant Governor, it's not a very high-profile position, she had run a statewide contest 4 years ago. Shouldn't Earl Sears have had a little bit easier of a time in this election?
We know that the president's party has tended to struggle in Virginia gubernatorial elections. We have a Republican president, Republican statewide ticket struggled. You saw that in 2021 in reverse. Biden's president, Youngkin, comes in, really beats expectations, does well.
The vote margin shift across the state from 2021 to 2025 really shows how much the Democrats overperformed. What really drove this?
I mean, I think one thing that deserves mention is the Democrats contested all 100 House of Delegates races. And if you're looking for things that explain vote margins statewide, I mean, one of the things that really helps is having candidates competing in every district. And you think about some of the districts the Democrats won considered long shots, but you can only win if you actually contest. And I think that's one of the things, it's an underrated thing, I think, that the Democrats did. But I mean, I think the biggest thing is anger at the Trump administration in the state. And no one feels federal pain more than the state of Virginia. And so the combination of layoffs, shutdowns, general dysfunction was enough to push the House of Delegates from a 51 to what looks like a 64-seat Democratic majority, and push Spanberger to the biggest Democratic win in a gubernatorial election we've seen since the Voting Rights Act was passed and the state's politics started to change in that way.
We look at the aspect of the race and what were the warning signs for Republicans. Were there any, from last night, signals to the Democrats that maybe there were lessons that they should learn besides run a race in every single district that was open? Or were there any other warning signs or signals that the Democrats should pick up from last night?
I mean, I think what the Democrats, so much of the focus after the 2024 election was the Democrats' struggle amongst young people and Latinos. And certainly it's still early, but if you look at both exit polling data that we have, and if you look at the ecological data, so the precinct level data, places where there are a lot of young people and a lot of Latinos, it certainly seems like the Democrats won a lot of these voters back, both in Virginia, but New Jersey is also a good example here too. When you look at some of the places, heavily Latino areas in New Jersey, tri-state area. So I think, in terms of what are those signals, it's you have these swing groups that swung Republican in 24 that have swung back hard in 25, and you think a big way of saying, well, what's the midterm in 26 going to look like? Well, it largely is going to go as the way of some of these swing constituencies go. So this is one of those things I think if you're looking at from both parties, it's there is potential for movement within all of these groups, and this is a question of how they're going to move.
Final question for you. Shade Virginia for me. Is Virginia purple, light blue, blue, red? Shade the state for me and tell me why.
I'd say Virginia is blue, trending bluer. If you look at statewide elections, we had the Republicans won in 21, but before that, it had been a long time since you saw a Republican win statewide. You haven't won on the statewide federal level in a better part of 2 decades at this point. So I think the case there, it's a blue state. I think the thing that has really changed is the makeup of the state legislature, which was much more evenly balanced going into the night than it came out. So I'd say I would classify Virginia as a competitive but blue state, somewhere along the lines of maybe a Minnesota or something along this good potential comparison.
The Southeastern Public Service Authority approved a 20-year deal to change how it handles trash in South Hampton Roads. WHRO's Catherine Hafner reports.
SIPSA says the new agreement will cut the amount of trash going to the regional landfill in half.
A company called Commonwealth Sortation will use artificial intelligence to pull recyclables from the trash stream. They'll also turn organic material like food waste into a reusable substance called biochar. SIPSA board member and Norfolk Public Works Director Richard Broad says the change puts the region at the forefront of the industry.
Hampton Roads gets a bad rap for not leading on anything, kind of following. We're going to be the leader in municipal solid waste processing.
Local officials say the deal could eventually eliminate the need for separate blue recycling bins. Catherine Hafner, WHRO News.
Ballet Virginia's first child-oriented performance comes to Zyder's American Dream Theater on Saturday. Kate Nowak reports for WHRO.
Sly wolves, elegant princesses, and silly dwarves will prance and prawl across the stage and into the aisles during the new production, Petite Matinee. The 46-minute series of scenes from popular shows such as Snow White, Puss in Boots, and Little Red Riding Hood is strung together with a little help from the magical MC, a fairy godmother. Development Director Lisa McCarty hopes introducing ballet to kids through the fun and engaging experience will encourage them to continue dancing and moving in their daily lives.
If they can leave children's program holding their head a little higher and feeling good about moving, we've done our jobs.
The lobby hosts activities such as crown making, ballet hopscotch, and getting autographs from the dancers before the show. Kate Nowak, WHRO News.
Virginia's congressional Democrats are slamming a Trump administration plan to slash a federal office focused on the Chesapeake Bay. WHRO's Catherine Hafner has more on the potential impact.
The proposed cuts came to light from documents in an ongoing lawsuit over federal firings during the government shutdown. The administration plans to terminate 6 out of 10 positions at the Chesapeake Bay Watershed Office under the National Park Service. Longtime Congressman Bobby Scott is part of a group that sent a letter to federal officials this week, urging them to reconsider.
I've been working to restore the Chesapeake Bay since I was in the State House of Delegates. We've made a lot of progress, and the Chesapeake Bay office has been part of the coordination of a lot of those efforts to step backwards to decimate that office.
He says the cuts also threaten the agency's ability to manage local trails, wildlife refuges, Fort Monroe, and the Mariners Museum in Newport News. Catherine Hafner, WHRO News.
A bit of sports news as we close out the week. Old Dominion football became bowl eligible last weekend. The Monarchs took the field against Louisiana-Monroe on Saturday, knowing that with a win, they would become bowl eligible. With the 31-6 victory, the Monarchs now stand at 6-3 for the season, with 3 games remaining. Saturday's game was the first ever for the team in Louisiana. 4 players on the ODU roster are from the state, and their families overwhelmed the ODU ticket allotment for the game. Since joining the FBS in 2015, ODU has played in 3 bowl games, with only 1 win dating back to 2016. Barry Graham, WHRO News.
You've been listening to WHRO's Weekly Edition. We had help today from WHRO's Toby Cox, I-Ching Wang, Michelle Hinkerson, Catherine Hafner, John Doucette, Ryan Murphy, and Kate Nowak.
Also, Connor Worley, who produced today's show. A reminder that you can always catch full episodes on the Weekly Edition podcast feed.
You can get your news updates at WHRO.org and the WHRO Reports podcast feed.
For all of us at WHRO and WHRV, I'm Barry Graham.
And I'm Jordan Christie. Have a great weekend.